Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and I'm covered in iced coffee. And over there is Andy Asimakis. How you doing, Andy?
Steven, there's one thing I love more than horror stuff. It is giant monsters fighting, or just giant beasts in general.
Yeah, I'm with
the
you. The
idea of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I want it to be real, even though I might die from its existence. That's how much I wanted to see giant monsters in our lifetime.
So were you like really hoping that Zordon chose you to be a Power Ranger?
No, I was hoping Godzilla was a documentary series when I was a child.
I see. Yeah, but you would be like a helpless person in that fight.
Yeah,
like
cool.
I wanted to be like the fuchsia Power Ranger and like get in a Zord and start fighting kaiju. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was looking forward to. But why the hell are we talking about that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I'll tell you why we're talking about that. Because joining us this week is Michael Long, the creator of Kaiju Wars, a stylish 2D turn-based strategy game where constructing buildings and defending your city from giant monsters is the way to be, is the way to go. That's what it is. There's a typo in my intro.
Yeah,
so I
almost saved it.
I flowed with
it. It was almost good.
I tried, Andy. I tried, but not everybody could save your word vomit. Michael, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi there. I'm doing great. Good to be here.
This is going to be an awesome show. My son is super into Godzilla and King Kong and like all of those movies right now. He knows every year. He knows the roar, the specific roar of a Godzilla. Like if you played him a Godzilla roar, he'd be like, oh, that's from the 1973, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're a fucking nerd. But he loves this stuff. So I've actually been plugged into the whole kaiju situation lately. I've learned quite a bit about kaiju. So I want to actually take the lead-off question, if you don't mind, Andy.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
All right. And the lead-off question, of course, is for the Dual Screens podcast, the internet's #1 indie developer interview podcast on the entire internet, starring two people you've never heard of, probably. The show posts each and every Friday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including our home, podbean.com. And of course, you could watch us on YouTube, on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. And if you want to support us on Patreon, it's so simple. A baby can do it. They should have a wallet or a credit card, though, because you need to go to patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our Patreon producers, Colton, the Apprentice Nestler, and FNH Paul. We cannot continue to grow without all of your support, and it is directly because of your support that later, in exactly a month from when we're recording this, so I think this actually goes up while we are there, Andy.
Yeah,
we will be at PAX East, and it's all because of your support on Patreon. So thank you so very much for doing that, and hopefully we will get approved for our panel, and we will be able to tell you more about that in the coming shows. But that being said, let's get into the first question here. When, Michael, were you first introduced to the world of kaiju as a kid?
Yeah. So it'd probably be, there was an old NES, Nintendo Entertainment System game called Godzilla 2, War of the Monsters. I know some people are familiar with it, but not everyone. It's somewhat obscure. And it was a turn-based strategy game where you played as the humans. You played as the crappy human military fighting off the monsters coming to wreck your city. And it was really janky. And is in the combat, when you attacked an enemy, it actually rolled a weird roulette and symbols would pop up. And to this day, I don't know what the symbols mean.
Yeah.
But it was super janky, and it was such a fun idea that this many years later, we're still thinking about it. And so my brother Jeff, actually, he made a board game about Kaiju Wars, and I'm adapting that to become a video game. So my first exposure to it would definitely be that old NES Godzilla 2 War of the Monsters game. And then since then, I've watched almost all of the Godzilla movies. Big fan of that genre. Pacific Rim is also really cool. And yeah, it's just great. It's just a great genre to work in.
Remind me when we're done here, Michael, to send you, if you haven't seen it already, the Godzilla creepypasta story about a cursed Godzilla cartridge that some guy plays. It has like different monsters, there's like a devil creature in it. It's so intense and spooky. And some guy actually took it and made it into a game. He took the story and made a ROM hack out of it. It's so neat.
I think I own a Godzilla Super Nintendo game. I think it's called Super Godzilla. Let me see if I can find that while you vamp. Vamp on this one.
You know what? My leadoff question for you, Michael, was, what do you think kaiju eat? And we never see them eat ever.
Yeah, that's I mean, they obviously enjoy wrecking cities, but you don't,
Right.
see them stuffing their mouths that much. And like, is eating concrete all that tasty? That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because I was doing a whole like calorie counting thing the other day, like for my weight. I'm like two hundo even. And the amount of calories for a kaiju to even take a step or walk, amongst us, that's a lot of energy. So what does it have to eat to survive and get around? No one ever explores that. And if they wouldn't eat other ones because they're all walking around too.
That's true. For the King Kong movies, Kong lives on Skull Island, so maybe there's
Right.
super bananas that he's eating off
Mhm.
screen or something.
He definitely eats
Um,
vegetation. Like you see him
yeah,
eating like trees and stuff, but he also eats like just the wild animals.
yeah,
The
some
whole
big animals
goddamn
there.
forest, dude.
Here's Super Godzilla. Here's my cartridge. There you go. I'll show it to you in that camera as well.
There it
Oh,
is.
there you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Yeah, I think I
beautiful.
played that one.
My cousins and I played the shit out of this game. This is an American version of this game. It is translated 100%. It is Super Godzilla, and I cannot tell you a single game mechanic in this game. I have no idea how this game works. No idea.
Yeah.
Like I don't. It's just Godzilla side scrolling, and then there's like a map, and he's going through, and you have to. I'm not sure if you're attacking Godzilla or if you're defending Godzilla. I still have no idea how this game is played. But let's talk about how Kaiju Wars is played. Turn based. What are we doing? Give us the whole rundown. Give us the elevator pitch.
Sure. So as we mentioned before, it's basically the spiritual successor to the Godzilla 2 NES game. So you basically play out a kaiju movie as the hopelessly outclassed military, and you're going to be constructing and deploying military units, and you'll be constructing buildings in an attempt to slow down the kaiju as they attack your city. So instead of the player having like an elite force, like an Into the Breach where they only have a few mechs against the many, you have the many and you're against the few. There's only generally one or two kaiju per level that are attacking simultaneously, sometimes a few more. And they go towards your buildings and destroy your buildings. So there's an interesting, what makes this a little bit different than most games is that you actually see what the kaiju is going to do ahead of time, a bit like Into the Breach, but also a bit different. You'll actually see what buildings the kaiju are heading towards, and you'll see the chance that they're going to step on each tile. So then you can actually position your units to either be in the way. You want your tanks to get stepped on because they deal high counter damage, kind of like stepping on a spiky Lego, very painful.
Very painful.
And you want certain units to not get stepped on, like your missiles and your bombers. And you'll have to build buildings to lure them away and deploy more units and bases.
It's kind of like a tower defense element
A little bit,
there.
yep.
Yeah.
Advance Wars meets Godzilla. It's the best combination you could possibly imagine for a video game. Oh, good God, this game is fun, Steven. The demo is out right now, and it's whoo. You would think that having an army, how small it may be in your corner versus one giant monster, you can have a chance. Like, okay, how hard could this be? But when you have like this end game type music blaring in the background, like there's some really big shit gonna go down, it gets tense really, really fast. And I was like, am I gonna make it? Are my guys gonna die? And a lot did die.
That's right. Yeah, they're definitely a cannon fodder. Don't feel too bad. I guess it's what they signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to like reprogram my brain because I feel like every unit must live, but they're all essentially there to die to get to the end, more or less.
Yeah.
You literally have construction crews building buildings just so that they can be destroyed.
Meat shields. Yeah.
Do the players have to like worry about like strengths and weaknesses of different kaiju? Like, are there different strategies you want to employ to the different enemies that you're going to be dealing with?
Yeah, certainly there's a base set of units that'll be used in most missions. And for example, anti-air guns are better against air kaiju, but they can still shoot at ground targets. So you'll be using the base units for most missions. But you will be employing different tactics based on what abilities they have. For example, sometimes the hairy armadillo one, we call them, he can kick nearby ground units. So, okay, that means you may want to deploy more planes since they can't get kicked. So depending on the abilities, and also depending on the terrain, sometimes you'll be moving through forests or hills. Well, missiles aren't very good at that. Planes are better. It all depends on what the terrain and what abilities they have.
Do you know the kaiju's abilities before you like, do you have intel, or is it just like, okay, here he comes, oh shit, he's kicking things, let me throw some planes?
You don't know on the first turn, but generally the kaiju shows up on the second turn, and then you can click to see his ability. So you know
I see.
very early on
Oh, okay.
what they can do.
Good. No guesswork here.
Why are these kaiju here? Why are they destroying our shit and wreaking havoc? We're just trying to run as a mayor.
Let's get
Run
philosophical.
the city peacefully. Why? What's going on? What's the backstory?
What's going on? Well, I can't. There is a story, and you'll have to play through the campaign story. We do explain why they're here and what's going on. But yeah, I can't say too much about that. But if you watch some of the old Godzilla movies, you'll be right at home with what's going on.
Okay, it's all our fault.
They're doing some experiments. They're doing some experiments, and the kaiju are none too happy about it. Oh,
someone flushed a baby alligator down a toilet, and then that's what happened.
That's it. Leatherhead is born. Giant.
I can neither confirm nor deny, but yeah, it might be our fault.
Oh no, goodness. We were just kidding. So how has development been for you guys through? We're almost year 3, I guess, of this pandemic thing. How has that been for you guys? We've had some Godzilla movies since then as well. Yeah.
So development-wise, we always worked remotely anyway.
Sure.
So it actually hasn't affected me personally too much. We're distributed over our province, mostly in Canada. So it hasn't affected me too much. As for kaiju stuff in general, it's actually been a really good year or two for kaiju.
Yeah.
As you know, several games are coming out, especially Dawn of the Monsters just came out. Kong vs. Godzilla was a smash hit success in the movies. And there was also a Godzilla anime on Netflix, Godzilla Singular Point. So this has actually been like the best year for kaiju in 5 or 10 years. So it's a good time to be in this space.
Yeah. A lot's been going on in the world of kaiju. Go ahead, Andy. I found more coffee. This one's on the side of my computer tower, so let me clean that.
When you have a game that you made based off of years of watching Godzilla movies and all of that, how do you create monsters that aren't just imitations of what you've seen watching Godzilla films for dozens of years? How do you keep them original looking and feeling and with their own identity and qualities?
Yeah, so obviously you want some familiarity. People want the big monster archetypes, and there's going to be a flying guy, and there's going to be a guy who goes in the water. So there definitely are archetypes that we're sticking to. But we're kind of playing it more on the humorous element of some tongue-in-cheek, poking fun at some of the designs. And I'm pretty happy with generally how their designs turned out. Of course, Big Donk, which is the giant King Kong monkey, he's basic King Kong. He's a big monkey. Not too much difference there. But we do also apply our own very unique art style to the game, which I think it looks very different than pretty much anything else, which helps sets it apart from other monsters who kind of use a lot of darker gray or black colors. Ours are quite colorful and vibrant. And we try to make each one have some abilities that reflect their differences and what environments they generally show up in.
Even from a pixel art perspective, it looks unlike any pixel art game I've played recently. The colors are very specific and they're very limited, but they kind of pop also off the screen, if that makes any sense. It just looks visually, it looks very, very different. And I'm so here for that look.
We actually took the color palettes are really important to us. And we actually looked at old Godzilla movie posters, and there's actually, I can send it to you. There's actually an old Godzilla versus Kong movie poster where the sky is yellow and the grass is pink. And that's actually, it was like, okay, that's our color palette right there.
Yeah.
And we decided to make 4 or 5 color palettes with contrasting colors on opposite sides of the color wheel for like selectable units. And so it's always very clear and vibrant of exactly what you can click on and how things look differently. We also apply a technique called dithering, where we've a bunch of black dots, and if you space them more closely together, you can kind of create a gradient, so it looks like different shades of color, but it's actually just black with whatever other single color we're using, like a yellow or purple or pink or something. So it's meant to look a little bit retro, but also something new as well.
Yeah, got some new.
That's so neat.
Yeah, like techniques thrown in there. That's pretty cool.
That's so goddamn cool.
How do you? One of the things that I notice happens a lot in these types of games is the pacing is very, very difficult to nail down. Like sometimes you could get into a match and it could be a 10-minute affair. You're good, you're gone, and then you don't see that monster again, or whatever. You don't see that level again. But I feel like with the kaiju being the star of the show, you're gonna want to show them off a little bit longer. So like, how did you balance a length of level where it's not too long, but also we get to have some fun with these kaiju?
Yeah, as you say, the kaiju are the star of the show, and there's limited budget, so we can only make so many of them. There's only 5 in our game, and so we do reuse them. We generally switch them up between each level, but then so there's 5, so you can have them encounter each one individually, and then you can bring in sometimes 2 of them show up at different times at different points on the map, and then they also have 5 different abilities that we swap them in and out. So we don't want to overwhelm the player with too many abilities going on at once.
Sure.
Generally, the kaiju will each have 1 or 2, but we pick which ones we want for each level. And then we also can change the layout of the level of, is it very mountainous or hilly, or is there a big road? Is it very open? And then we also have these project cards that you can play. And later on, we start using the design of each mission is based around like 2 specific project cards we give the player. And the entire level is based around how well you use those and how to move your units around. So yeah, we actually have over 50 missions in the game, and I think we did a pretty good job of keeping it varied. We'll have to wait, of course, till the reviews come out.
Can you go into those project cards a little bit more? Like, can you explain that mechanic?
Sure. So every turn, the player draws 3 project cards from their deck of cards, and generally we, the developers, have built this deck for you, but there's also a mode where you can free play and build your own deck.
Okay.
And these cards help the player. They can build buildings like harbors or army bases or airfields for free. They can also deploy units or deploy powerful experimental weapons like a freeze ray or a transforming jet that transforms into a mecha. And then there are some very special ones that are tactics that are like 1-turn use. For example, all of your units can now instantly move to any building on the battlefield. So if there's an island map, you can helicopter over your entire army for 1 turn to fight the kaiju and kind of do these big wave pushes. And then there's also different strategies where you can upgrade specific tiles where all of a sudden, if you position your guy on a hill, they now get +2 counter, or shooting from forest gives extra damage, or tanks do better in buildings or rubble. So there's a lot of variety in those alone.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. That reminds me a little bit of Loop Hero, Andy. As you know, I'm a big Loop Hero fan, and having the kind of building the map as you see fit to defend, and gather resources and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. I like that loop, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and you talk about like the balance. I noticed also it's all about placing units and moving them because they attack automatically based on where they are. Like if they're adjacent to the monster, they'll just attack it. So knowing where to place your units, it like reduces my amount of clicks while playing, and it feels so smooth and so easy to pick up. I'm not a huge strategy guy by any means. I think I'm bad at that genre, to be honest, but this felt very comfortable to play and pick up. Like I felt right at home playing it, and it was super fun and easy to get a handle over it. And yeah, it's just I need it as soon as possible.
I need it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I need this game with monsters in it.
I will chime in with the units. Advanced Wars is a big inspiration. I love the Advanced Wars games, but it can get completely overwhelming when you have to, like, when you're spamming out infantry units and you have to move like 30 guys each turn. Oh man, that just slows down the game so much. So we did want to reduce the number of units on the battlefield, and we hard coded like how many of each unit type you can get each mission. And generally, you won't have more than 8 guys active at the same time normally. So yeah, we want to keep the turns shorter than what Advanced Wars can drag into, for sure.
Yeah, less thinking on my part always means better things for me.
For both of us, Andy.
The less my brain has to function.
That makes 2 of us, for sure. So you're kind of what has the feedback been from your demo that's been out?
Yeah, it's been very positive. Of course, we get a lot of comparisons with Into the Breach, which obviously there are a lot of superficial similarities of, it's a pixel art game and there's a city being wrecked by monsters. But then as soon as you get past that, people are like, this actually isn't at all like Into the Breach. Like, it looks like it is from the screenshots, but it's actually plays out completely differently.
Sure.
Because Into the Breach is more of a sliding tile puzzle, essentially.
Mhm.
And this is more of a Advance Wars larger scale strategy of placing units in buildings than just being limited to 3 guys. Uh, and the feedback's been very positive. And a lot of people say it's very different than what they've never seen anything quite like it, which is what we were going for, definitely.
It's not something that people would necessarily expect because of the uh coat of paint and they're obviously going to draw comparisons, and that's what's good. I mean, that's kind of good, right? Like that's going to draw some people, the fans of the genre, in a little quicker than normal. So like that, I don't know if it's a happy accident or if it was done on purpose, but either way, it at least gets people in the door, right? And then you can kind of blow their mind after that.
Yeah, that's right. So it's both a good and bad thing. Into the Breach is an excellent game. I love it. But then some people also say, "Oh, it's not enough like Into the Breach. I was expecting more of that." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, fair enough." It's good to get people in, but sometimes hard to please everybody with that expectation.
Sure.
What's been the most influential Godzilla movie when putting this game together? Which one stands out to you? Like you're always going back to in your mind that you're plucking things from or looking to, or is it just the whole body of work of Godzilla you're pulling from when putting this together?
Probably the original 1954 Godzilla movie.
Mm.
That's some of the feeling we were trying to embody, like just the full classic kaiju of a kaiju comes out of the ocean and starts attacking your city. And the military try their best, but the best they can do is just slow it down. But they can never destroy the kaiju. It's basically a force of nature that can't be destroyed. The best we can do is slow it down, and the only solution we have is science. Eventually, if you buy enough time, it has to be the scientists who win the day, not the army. It has to be science that'll stop the kaiju for now. And again, it's always for now. You can't destroy them. They're just a fact of life. So kind of, I guess in 1954 they do kill Godzilla, but we know that there's more coming, and it was science that won the day. And we also really want to get the feeling down that the kaiju is always bearing down on you. Again, it's a force of nature. It's a force of destruction, and you can only slow it down. And your objective is just to protect your one scientist. So your king is always on the board. There's always a risk that if the kaiju, goes down a path, you see the paths, like, okay, if it goes down that way, I'm good. But if it goes down this way, I'm gonna have to evacuate, and I have to plan my evacuation. We always want you to feel like you're 2 steps away from defeat if you can't slow them down enough. And so the kaiju's bearing down your last lab, and you get your last eureka and complete the serum. That's the feeling we're going for, being the underdog and getting the last minute win.
We should always have Godzilla films playing in grade school and junior high. Such valuable life lessons. Because I'm just now getting that it's science that saves the day every time in those movies. Like I was watching Shin Godzilla a few months ago, and they trip him and like give him some like blood serum thing to like freeze
his blood.
him.
Yeah.
I was like,
right.
It's so insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not atomic weapons that birthed him, but just the science that's gonna, come in and stop him.
And you notice it's always about. And we're going to get into a little bit of Godzilla philosophy, but it was created as a social commentary on the nuclear bombings of Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and all that stuff. But
of course,
and like he looks like a mushroom cloud and like all of that stuff. But all of it is focused on stopping the destruction. It's never about fighting the destruction. It's not necessarily about destroying the destruction. It's about stopping it dead in its tracks. And in that particular movie, Shin Godzilla, like he's literally, they said it's going to take him, I think, 8 years to decompose or something like that. So he's literally, or it, whatever, is literally just going to stay there as a reminder of this frozen giant lizard thing. But then it starts like growing these other like human like parts out of it too.
It was like another evolution at the end.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, I think it was trippy.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff is just it's incredible.
It's like the most horror a Godzilla film has ever been was Shin Godzilla. That
shoots like those lasers out of his back and stuff.
Oh my god, horrifying!
It's so cool.
I love it.
I
love when they make it
like. Go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, when it's like a horror film, like how Cloverfield is like a horror film.
Yeah,
but it's a giant monster film.
Yeah,
I love when they do that.
See, I didn't see any of those. Like, I still never saw Pacific Rim or any of that. Like, I don't know. Like the monster genre, the monster movie genre, just always eluded me. And now my son's getting me into them, and I just think it's so like he'll be sitting there watching like this. It's not like a YouTube series, like a YouTuber explaining and going deep dives on like why does the Shin Godzilla's tail look like a face, and I'm sitting there.
I know that
like,
channel.
I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. Like, why did this elude me for so long? And now I'm like completely obsessed with it. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase here. All right, Michael, gonna cut to the chase.
Sure.
When, if, can, however I want you take this phrasing. I'm just gonna tell you my desire. I want to take control of a kaiju and destroy Andy City.
Yes.
When can this happen? How soon can this happen?
That's the most requested feature. Even though we kind of take the opposite approach of you playing as the humans trying to stop them, like in the original films. But we do have a local versus mode where one player can play as the monster and the other player plays the regular gameplay as the human.
Do you do Steam share?
Do
you do Steam share?
Yeah. It's a, you could use
I saw the prompt for that. Steven, it's happening, dude.
God, I am gonna destroy your city so bad.
This is gonna come out during PAX. This is like our whole weekend.
God.
But we're not editing interviews.
Michael, are you guys gonna be at PAX?
We weren't planning on it, unfortunately.
You have just broken my heart.
They got a game coming out, dude.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
like
I know.
Can't be traveling the globe and talking to us.
But that's okay. We'll
maybe I'll have to look into it. Been pretty busy.
There's still time. No, that's awesome. I cannot. That's a really, really awesome feature. Like being able, and I love the Steam link share, whatever the hell that thing's called. I forget what it's called. But being able to do that couch co-op with a friend over, like just sharing. I don't know. I think that's brilliant. It's a brilliant piece of technology. Love it. That's gonna be awesome. How does the balancing work on that? Like, do you have all 5 abilities at your disposal as the monster? Like, because you're obviously not going to see the path, right?
Yeah, so we've earmarked certain missions that you can play versus, and not all of them will be super. We've just earmarked certain of them. And you basically just play out the same mission, but one person's playing as the monster, and you are still restricted to the path. I know, freeform walking around, that's cool, but you would literally just walk to the enemy's lab. So you're still restricted to the paths, but whenever there's a choice for the monster to make, you make that choice. So if there's ever a branching path, you choose which one to go down. Especially for what we call the finale missions, the core defense missions. The kaiju does gain abilities during the mission, and you're going to choose which ones they get, the order that they get them in. And there'll also be dark project cards that they'll choose among 3 cards are drawn each turn. You pick the dark project that'll hurt the player, which one. So don't go expecting like a full game. It's definitely more of a side mode, but it's still pretty fun.
It's like if Evolve was good.
Does the player know what you're choosing? Like if you choose a power or whatever?
It is still meant to be local versus, so you're all looking at the same screen. So there's no secrets between you. You see what the guy's doing, and he sees what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. I'm so into that.
Oh, we're gonna get the old school cardboard shit, right? I mean, it's not split screen, but we're gonna figure out a way to do this, Andy.
Screen peeking.
You better not be screen looking.
Michael, what was the most surprising thing you learned about yourself while putting this game together?
Ooh, learned about myself.
Yeah.
That's a deep question.
I know. Yeah.
You weren't expecting
really thought about that.
Things get deep here on DSP.
I know.
That's a good one. I might have to get back to you on that. I'll have to think on that. Maybe ask me again at the end.
We will. We certainly will.
Andy, hit me up. Hit me up. Come on, you've actually had your mitts on this thing. I'm gonna.
Right. Well, listen, I haven't had enough of it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I get it.
It's when there's a really good demo of a game, the upset comes from when you know it's over. And it's like felt a comment card at the end. I'm just like, complain. It's not the full game. It's like number one
full
thing.
Game when question mark? This is good criticism.
I do want to know who scored the game, because the soundtrack is phenomenal. Like, I'm not sure what they're tapping into, but it feels like you're in a kaiju fight with that soundtrack.
Yeah, the guy's name is Kent Weiler. I went to university with him, and he's local to Saskatchewan. Yeah, he's hasn't done much other. He's basically just done the music for my games, and he's really good. So we've just stuck with him, and he's done a great job. I guess we use a little bit some of those chip tunes, some beeps and boops, but then mix it in with different motifs, depending on which monster you're facing off against, and kind of based on some Godzilla movie inspiration, of course, as well.
Yeah, it's really hard to make chiptune music nowadays that is memorable because there's like so many pixel art games that rely on that as for their soundtrack chiptunes, and to have a score that really is upbeat. I'm just like, can I get it on vinyl at some point? Can I get it like blaring through my house? It is Steven. It is so your earballs are gonna explode.
I love
it. Good. It's that good.
I love it.
I'll have to pass that on. Thank you.
Indeed. I want to play a little game here, Andy, before we get into rapid fire. I mean, rapid fire is still a few minutes away, but I want to play a little game.
A little pre rapid fire game.
Andy, I want you and I to work together to build a kaiju. To build a kaiju and pitch it for this to be the sixth kaiju.
I was just gonna say, you only have 5. Can we pay for the 6th?
Yeah.
I think we could do that. Now, do we go monster or do we go animal? Because I'm a fan of the ones that are monsters only because you have a little bit more creativity, but you could also get you could confuse people with animal, because some animals people don't know exist. And so you could get deep in there with animal if you really wanted to. What are you thinking, Andy?
Well, I've always liked the things that you can't really identify easily, like the smog monster in Godzilla, or like the giant, or like, what was it? The giant plant, Biolante. It's like, what is that? What's happening there exactly? Like some eldritch horror kind of a beast. I want it to be. Yeah, definitely more on the monstrous side. Something that I can't really, like that, like Mothra. You know what that is, right away. Right. I want to go like the other direction.
So what if we did something like let's do like a quadruped beast, right? But we'll do like a Soulsian design where it'll have like a really big gaping mouth. Just a giant mouth where the jaw drags on the ground. So like it's a big mouth, you know what I mean? It leads with its mouth.
Yeah.
It, you know,
and
what
it's
I mean?
Like under its gut. It's like dragging it as it's walking
dragging
around.
it, and it just picks up things and then uses it. But does it have? I'm thinking it has some sort of like weaponized tongue. You know, get a little projectile, but like it's attached to it. You know.
Yeah, like a barbed tongue that can shoot out and grab stuff and yank it back in.
Yeah, and like drag it. Like you could like knock over a helicopter out of the sky, and as it's still spinning its blades, pulling it towards you, and you're like chopping things up as it's pulling it towards it to eat it, and it can just eat it.
It's all fat, and the only muscle is in the tongue.
Yeah,
only that can grab stuff, do things. I mean, it slogs around.
It's like bone, like it's got like those elbows that have that like spiky stuff protruding from it, kind of like what's his name, Doomsday, you know, like kind of just like,
oh yeah, I see that. Yeah,
shapes,
I see that.
You know what I mean? Just like fat and like bone shapes, but like I mean, this is a thing of nightmares. I like this with that hauntingly open and just gross jaw. I mean, the big tongue that just kind of slaps things and just drags it. Oh, that's dope. I'm in for this.
Maybe we can also like vomit out acid, it's stomach acid just everywhere. Just super disgusting.
If it like what if its stomach acids melt down the metals and it creates like a liquid metal vomit, and it coats everything in it, and it just and then it hardens and just gets coated in this like metal.
Oh, cool.
What are we calling this thing?
Right.
Let's call it something. Michael, you're the creative one here. You got to name it.
If we pitched you this monster in a meeting, you're like, here's the final design, Michael, but give it a name.
Okay. so you brought up the metal acid right at the end. That's pretty cool. I don't know, maybe like steel liquor, something silly.
The steel liquor. So it's not the main attraction. It's going to be like Godzilla versus the steel liquor. And like
Probably.
King Kong versus the skull crawler. Like it's not like it doesn't have a name like Mothra. I could get with that. Because I like the idea that more of these exist somewhere. That's terrifying to me. Baby jaw draggers. That's what the humans call them. They call them jaw draggers.
Yeah, you have to wonder. They can't just be one of these things walking around.
Yeah, right.
Of all of them. You know, like, I don't know.
I have a question.
I can't get into kaiju philosophy at this point.
Maybe this could be specific to your universe that you've created, Michael. But what do the kaiju do when they're clearly together? Like, they come from someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And that someplace has to be like crowded because there's giant kaiju. Like in the movie, it's weird. There's like a upside down dimension, yada yada, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, are they friends? Do they coexist in your world? Are they just like kings of their own domain?
Sure. So in our game, what you want to find out pretty quickly in the story is that the monsters aren't fighting each other, and they don't seem to really interact all that much with each other. They just kind of team up to destroy stuff. And the fact that they haven't been around too much before now raises some interesting questions. Maybe they've been asleep for so long, but why are they now coming to attack? Questions that need answers.
Again, where do they sleep? It's like a whole thing.
You know,
where do they sleep?
It's
maybe in the Antarctic ice or something. It's always a good spot.
No, well, that's melting. That's scary to think about. How many kaiju do you think are gonna? That's the over under 1.5. The over under is 1.5. Will there be a giant kaiju? 1.5. When Antarctica and Antarctica is what? The South. Which one's north? I don't know. North and South poles. They're melting. Will we reveal a kaiju?
Well, that might have to wait for the sequel.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, you're saying in your game. I mean in real life.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about
Steven,
reality.
They're underwater, dude. They're in the deep depths of the ocean.
Maybe you'll find a giant penguin like in Cthulhu, the Mythos Tales.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
A giant penguin.
Yeah,
it's very strong.
That sounds horrifying.
A lot of
giant ass penguin.
Is a blue whale a kaiju?
Like of the ocean, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
They're pretty big.
They're not destructive.
Called
though.
elephant.
They're very
the kaiju of the land.
They just don't seem as impressive as the whale in terms of size.
It's
I guess.
true. Yeah.
Well, it's the largest land animal.
The moose is the kaiju of the forest.
I was like thinking about Clifford the Big Red Dog. He's obviously a kaiju.
Obviously, yes. He's an ancestor of some sort of kaiju.
It depends. I'm sure like I'm a kaiju to my dog in some way.
You're very destructive. Yeah. That is true. He has seen you eat. He knows the horrors. All right, Andy, let's get into rapid fire here. Let's crack our nuts. Here we go. Let's get our juices flowing.
Oh boy.
It's time for rapid fire.
I want to go first.
Okay. Go first.
On the topic of food, which says we were ending the interview with that fun stuff. Michael, if you are what you eat, what are you? Oh,
I think I'd be the flying spaghetti monster.
The spaghetti monster, yeah. See, that's something out of Power Rangers. I am almost 100% positive. I'm 99.5% positive there was a spaghetti monster in Power Rangers. Like it was like an Italian chef that like had spaghetti and meatball powers. We're gonna look it up at the end of the show. Let's see. Let me think. All right, we're gonna start with the easy stuff that I've given other guests while I try and get a little bit more creative. Is cereal a soup?
Oh, sure, why not?
Exactly. Why not indeed? Why not indeed?
Would you rather have all your shoes be made out of Lego or all of your clothes be made from kiwi?
Kiwi the fruit.
Like
Is
the
that-
kiwi
that's what
fuzz,
you're
like
saying?
Not the
the
animal.
fuzzy. Yeah.
The fuzzy skin of the kiwi?
Yeah.
How
Yes.
strange.
How many kiwi birds did it take to make this sweater?
Okay. The inside of the kiwi skin's like slimy, but the outside's fuzzy.
The outside, the fuzziness, yeah.
I would take the shoes if I could just take off the shoes and not wear them.
Well, listen, if you're gonna walk around, showing off your game or to a meeting or to whatever,
you don't want that toe jam
yes,
being shown to
strap
the world.
on them Lego shoes.
Well,
I was supposed to
just
go
take off your
barefoot.
shoes and you just become a hobbit, get calluses on your feet, walk around everywhere.
That's like saying you'll just be naked if you have to wear a kiwi shirt.
Okay.
I'd be a nudist. If you were a kaiju, would you come from the sea? Would you come from a volcano? Or would you come from a lab?
Oh,
I think the volcano. My hands and feet are always cold. It'd be nice to be warm. Yeah, volcano. And it's very dramatic. The volcano erupts, then you come out and you're all cranky. It's a good entrance.
Yeah.
Are you a kaiju that is the primary adversary, or are you like a support kaiju that's helping out maybe the people who are in need of?
Yeah, I like the
assistance?
support kaiju, like King Caesar from Godzilla. They do the prayer to the volcano, come Michael, to save us, and then he awakens angrily and throws some hot meatballs.
Mothra becomes like a helper, right? Am I getting my
Mothra is a very benevolent kaiju.
Yeah.
What's the one that's always like Godzilla's side bitch, Anguirus? That like
Anguirus,
with the spikes on his back.
Mm.
Yeah, that guy.
God,
the cool guy.
This
that one.
universe is so cool. I love kaiju. I love him so much. If you were arrested, what would your crime be?
That's a good. What would be safe? I don't know. I guess robbing a bank, because the monetary theft doesn't really hurt many people except the insurance company. But then if you actually I don't want to hurt any actual people. That's no good. So like a peaceful bank robber.
A peaceful bank robber. Hello, if it would not be too much of an inconvenience, could I please have several $1,000s from your drawer? And it would be very, very helpful if you did not alert the authorities.
It would be great.
Thank you. And they're just waiting for you. The guy's literally behind you with this gun drawn. That's the most Canadian answer I think I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We should go back and check and see, because I feel the Canadian developers, and the answer to that question, it's always like, I was arrested for putting, a jar of pickles in my pocket accidentally while walking on the market. And it's the most very
mundane.
Simple. Mundane.
Sorry about that.
Let's see. If kaiju and kaiju movies were illegal, what would their street name be?
Oh, okay. Good question. Maybe Special K for Special Kaiju.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's really good.
I like that. I like that a lot.
For the Super Serial fans too.
Oh, I love
Hell
it.
yeah.
That's Special K. That's my Special K.
If you could have one famous person in the entire world punch you directly in the face, who would you want to do it?
It would probably be Nicolas Cage, but in a bear costume, like in The Wicker Man. That'd be pretty good.
Oh my God. Why is that movie so good, Michael?
I don't know.
Because I'll tell you why it's so good, Andy. Because he fucking commits to the bit. There's no half-assing.
How to get burned? How to get burned? How to get burned? God, that movie, it's so good. He punches a lady in a bear costume. Oh my God. Holy shit. Have you seen that new one of his?
Bicycle. It's good.
Where he's playing himself? You see this trailer?
No.
It's like he's playing himself as in a James Bond role. It's Nick Cage as Nick Cage.
Is this a
Please
new
look
movie?
it up. Yeah, it's coming out, I think, sometime this year.
Oh, cool.
Totally. It's his most Nick Cage role ever.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's
As long
see,
as he
Michael.
freaks
What?
out in it, it's all good.
Oh yeah, Michael. What is the dumbest way you've ever injured yourself?
Oh. Uh. Oh, I guess I cut my hand on a cheese grater. That's
Mm-hmm.
maybe more understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I
How deep
mean,
of a cut?
it's carelessness, but I wouldn't call that
Yeah.
dumb. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen dumber. Let's just put it that way. The,
Yes.
like we've had some pretty dumb stories recently, so you're actually pretty good. If that was
I
the
did
dumb
one
story.
yesterday, Steven. I got the other thumb.
Oh no, what did you do now?
Oh.
I almost cut the tip off while chopping onions. Like
Oh,
it
no.
flapped out. Like I went
Ugh.
almost. I went in.
Andy,
So I was like, oh, that's hanging out.
Andy, there is a way.
I need those gloves. Those like anti-cut gloves.
Bend your fingers. Don't keep them out. Just
No.
bend them.
It was
when you're
just poor
cutting.
technique. It
You
was poor
use this
technique.
part of your knuckle.
I
here.
know. I was in a rush. I wanted to make the turkey meatball thing I was working on. I was like, huh, that went right through.
All right.
I just folded it back
Michael.
and put a bandage on it.
This might be difficult for you, so I'm going to do a tournament style. Okay.
Oh.
Would you rather have flight or invisibility?
Oh. I'd say flight. You know, driving around and finding parking, that sucks, and just being able
Sure.
to fly around, visit places. That sounds pretty sweet to me.
Okay. Now, second
And
question.
with gas prices these days,
There you go.
zing.
Now, second part. This is the second fight of the tournament. Would you rather have super strength or let's say what's the I don't want to say super speed because you could already fly in this scenario. Super strength or turn into animals, like metamorphosis type stuff.
Oh, okay. Turning into animals is pretty cool. You can just turn into a capybara, and then all the other animals will come chill and sit next to you.
Yeah.
You could also turn into a fish or something. Yeah, turning into animals sounds pretty sweet. I think that'd be fun.
Okay.
Just like the movie Turning Red that just came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you now the final here is would you rather turn into
lot
an
of
animal?
questions.
Would you rather animorph or have the power of flight?
Oh, I have to pick between them.
Now you have to pick between the two.
Well, I'd pick the animals because I could transform into a bird that can then fly.
Okay.
As long as I don't get shot by a hunter.
My
that
only
would be good.
concern with that, now I know this is getting into a discussion, it's supposed to be rapid fire, but my only concern with that answer is the advantage of being able to fly would be I want to go on vacation, I'm going to throw a backpack on, or perhaps grab some luggage and fly to vacation. If you have to turn into a bird to do that, there's not much luggage you're taking. You're going naked. You're going with whatever's on your back.
You ship it.
You ship it.
Put it in a box,
Oh.
ship it to the hotel. Bird
That's a good
over
idea.
there, and then bam.
Technology has solved this problem.
How long does it take for a bird to go across the country?
I don't know. A lot slower than FedEx overnight.
Can a bird fly across the ocean?
Don't they
don't know.
fly across the ocean?
I don't know. Do they? I know they go north-south. Do they go?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if they fly, across the entire ocean.
Wow.
Butterflies
Clearly,
migrate pretty far.
science
Yeah.
did not win the day in our
Not in
education
our day.
system.
All
when
right,
we were
Andy.
growing up.
Final question, bud. It's your turn.
Ooh. Michael, where the fuck did baby Godzilla come from?
He's
It's a legitimate
cute.
question. Yeah, but why and where?
The fact that he's cute is his reason for existence. Yeah, that's
It's a
all.
distraction.
Is that
from what's really
different than
going on.
Godzuki?
Either way, Godzuki or baby Godzilla, where are they spawning from?
I don't know.
That's what I want to know.
I don't
I
know.
guess they don't want to up the rating of the movie. They're not going to show that.
It's true. We don't need that kind of stuff. All right, Michael. Here we go. The decision is yours. This is the toughest question you'll ever going to be asking your entire life, and I am very confident in that.
All right.
Yeah.
God.
The Canadian school system has nothing on this next question.
Oh,
All right. You've probably had to decide on having game modes and maybe there was like 3 or 4 kaiju that didn't make the cut and you had to remove them like they were your baby and you were like, I don't want to remove this. This is my baby. And like, I'm sorry, you can't have the giant parakeet. It doesn't fit. You're like, fine. That has nothing on this next question. Michael, are you ready to answer this question?
I don't know. It sounds like I'm not ready, but
You're
go
not.
ahead.
You're not.
He's not.
I'm going to look
He's
directly
really not.
into the other camera so that you have me here. The question is, Andy or Steve?
Oh, why do you make me have to choose? This is too hard.
Because of egos, Michael, because of egos.
Oh, no.
We have an Excel spreadsheet filled out with all these answers.
I might have to pick Andy because he didn't have to change his pants earlier before the show.
That's true.
It's true. I did.
don't wear pants,
but he has to
during the
change them
podcast.
after the show because
That's. I mean,
what's worse? You know
would
what
you
I mean?
blame me?
What's worse?
That's actually a compliment.
Sure.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
Stop touching yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you want to follow us on social media, it's so easy to do it. We're at Duel_Screens. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at PantsGuy. If you want to join our Facebook group, it's facebook.com/groups/DS Podcasts. Again, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/NDS Podcast. And you can write to us too if you want. Feedback@ndspodcast.com. That's a cool little thing that you could do. But if you join our Patreon, you'll also get into our Discord where you could ask us questions, talk to our dev guests that join up on us, anything you want. You can come hang out with us as well. And Michael, where can everybody find you and Kaiju Wars and all that fun stuff?
You can find Kaiju Wars on Steam. Just type Kaiju Wars to search it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's foolishmortals.net, foolish-mortals.net /Kaiju Wars if you want to see the landing page and all that fun stuff. Wishlist the game. Do that, folks. It helps out.
It's out soonish. It's out pretty soon.
Yes, pretty
That's
soon.
right.
Wishlist it if you haven't already. Buy it if you're watching this later or listening to this later. Just go do it. Don't be an idiot. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Thank you to Godzilla, because without you, none of us would be sitting in these chairs talking to each other. That's for sure. And as always, please be excellent to each other.